Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitya Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Hari Bol. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Nityalila Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Asashatashi Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Nityalila Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Asashatashi Srimad Bhakti Saranta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. ISKCON Guru Vrinda Ki Jai. Namachaya Shriya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गौ गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय. वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय. मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय. श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय. गंगा माई की जय. यमुना माई की जय. तुलसी देवी की जय. भक्ति देवी की जय. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Transcendental book distribution ki jai. Transcendental prasadam distribution ki jai. Shri Harinama Sankirtan Yagna ki jai. Cow protection ki jai. New Govardhana farm community ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai Jai Shri Caitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Shri Caitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Reading from Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, Adya Lila, chapter 17, text 65. The chapter is called Pastimes of the Lord in His Youth. Mukunda Dattera Kaila Danda Prasada. Kandila Tahara Chitera Sabha Avasada. Mukunda dattera kaila danda prasada. Kandila tahara chitera sabha avasada. Mukunda dattera kaila danda prasada. Kandila tahara chitera sabha avasada. Mukunda dattera kaila danda prasada. Kandila tahara chitera sabha avasada. Mukunda dattere antu Mukunda datta kaila did danda punishment prasada benediction kandila vanished tahara his chitera of the mind sabha all kinds of avasada, depressions. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu blessed Mukunda Datta with punishment and in that way vanished all his mental depression. Please repeat. Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu blessed Mukunda Datta with punishment and in that way vanished all his mental depression. Purport. Mukunda Datta once forbidden to enter the association of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu because of his mixing with the Mayavadi impersonalists. When Lord Chaitanya manifested his Mahaprakasha, he called all the devotees one after another and blessed them, while Mukunda Datta stood outside the door. The devotees informed the Lord that Mukunda Datta was waiting outside. But the Lord replied, I shall not soon be pleased with Mukunda Datta, for he explains devotional service among devotees, but then he goes to Mayavadis to hear from them the Yoga Vaishta Ramayana, which is full of Mayavada philosophy. For this I am greatly displeased with him. Hearing the Lord speak in that way, Mukunda Datta, standing outside, was exceedingly glad that the Lord would at some time be pleased with him, although he was not pleased at that moment. But when the Lord understood that Mukunda Datta was going to give up the association of the Mayavadis for good, he was pleased, and he at once called to see Mukunda. Thus he delivered him from the association of the Mayavadis and gave him the association of pure devotees. I read the verse again. Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu blessed Mukunda Datta with punishment, and in that way vanished all his mental depression. So this chapter is a very special one because pastimes of the Lord in his youth. This is when his teachings, his lessons, and divine message to all devotees of Krishna on the path of devotion. Beautiful pastimes where he manifests his Mahaprakash, his intimate connection with devotees, and the Siddhanta, which culminates in the Harinama Sankirtan, the congregational chanting of the holy names. In this particular verse, as we know, Mukunda Datta was very, very dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was a very close friend of Nimai Pandit. They grew up together, they went to school together, they were class friends, and they interacted with each other. Very, very sharp, logical arguments. They're challenging one another. So Mahaprabhu was very attached to Mukunda Datta. Mukunda Datta was also present in his original form in Vraja Lila as Madhukanta. Madhukanta was also very famous. He had a very sweet throat. He was always part of a sweet interaction with Krishna and the cowherd boys. And Madhukanta was also a great singer. Similarly, Mukunda Datta was expert in ragas, all the beautiful melodies, sweet melodies, which resonated with Mahaprabhu's heart, his inner feelings, his deep sentiments. And Mukunda Datta was singing bhajana, kirtana. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came alive. He felt these emotions. He could not bear a moment without Mukunda Datta. He was such a dear friend. Obviously, many of these cowherd boys and cowherd girls, the intimate, confidential associates of Lord Krishna in Vrajabhumi, Vrajamandal, they reappeared to facilitate and participate in these beautiful pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Namo Mahavadanyaya, Krishna Preme Pradayate, the original Supreme, in a very special form, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, the most confidential, exalted form of Krishna, the golden form. Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Shrimati Radharani in one form. So when Mukunda Datta was singing, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt deep ecstasies, tears rolling his eyes, felt love for Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could express Mahabhava because he was in the mood of Srimati Radharani. And only Srimati Radharani could have the Mahabhava, the highest form of ecstasies, which ordinary souls cannot comprehend, not to speak of having that. We can only get a speck of that bhav by the mercy of Guru and Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So it's a gradual process. We take shelter of Guru and Gauranga. Nimai Pandit eventually took sannyas. His mother was very deeply displeased, of course. And at the time of sannyas initiation, Mukunda Datta was singing beautiful bhajan. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he envisioned his Sankirtan mission because of the sweetness of his kirtan. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Mukunda Datta, very, very beautiful interaction. So in this particular context, so this is very interesting. I've noted 3 points that important to meditate on. The word punishment. What is happening here? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu blessed Mukunda Datta with punishment, and in that way vanished all his mental depression. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his punishment is love and correction and teaching. And teaching, instruction to others. Because it's a very beautiful story. Mukunda Datta, although was very attached to Mahaprabhu, but he had a tendency to hear from Mayavadi scholars out of sentiment. The difficulty is when we hear from Mayavadi scholars or interpretations of pastimes, although appear to be innocent pastimes of Krishna, but still touched by the Mayavadi serpent. Just like Srila Prabhupada says in the songbook to the purport to the Maha Mantra, that when a serpent touches the milk, it becomes contaminated, poisonous. Similarly, Krishna Katha, Bhagavata Katha should be heard from the lips of pure devotees. They hearing the transcendental message, Divya Jnana, which emanates from Krishna's lotus feet, saffron particles on his lotus feet, and they're receiving that saffron dust particles from the lotus feet of Krishna. And they have realizations, inner realizations, and they speak that realization to the benefit of the whole world. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers, they were greatly pure, unalloyed devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu seemingly punishing him. Everyone's getting his mercy, his darshan. He manifested his Mahaprakash pastimes. And in that, he had the exhibition of ecstasies, which is very difficult for ordinary men to comprehend. We have to go through the different stages of devotion to even just a glimpse of it or grasp of that realization. what that means. Mahaprabhu experienced this Mahabhava feelings and other ecstasies, famous 21-hour non-stop ecstasies. So, and then all the devotees felt jubilant and affected by Mahaprabhu's emotions and ecstatic symptoms. And very close devotees like Damodar Pandit and Ramananda Rai and many others, Mukunda Datta. Mukunda Datta wanted to step in also, but he was excluded for the time being. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu punished him with his love, telling him indirectly and later on directly that you should not hear from Mayavadas, because it contaminates the heart, it confuses the mind. Mayavada impersonalists are contradictory to Vaishnava theology, Vaishnava Siddhanta. They are offending the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So how can you hear from them? If you hear from offenders, you fall down in the pool of material existence. How can you do that? So Mukunda Datta and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had a dialogue within their hearts, inner dialogue. Mukunda Datta felt Mahaprabhu's chastisement. Mahaprabhu is not inviting me in. Everyone's going in to his room to have his darshan. I'm outside the door. What's going on? And then the devotees approached Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu, dear Mahaprabhu, your great devotee, your friend, is waiting outside. He would like to come in. And Mahaprabhu expressed his concern. I'm not pleased with him, but we'll be pleased with him one day. So it's very interesting to see this, how Srila Prabhupada also used this sentence here. The Lord replied, I shall not soon be pleased with Mukunda Datta. So he mentioned pleased. He will be pleased. Not soon though. So, very interesting, because of course Mahaprabhu knew Mukunda Datta's heart. He was innocent and pure. But teaching others, instructing others about the proper standard of Vaishnava Siddhanta. It cannot be mixed with Mayavada theory. Mayavada is very dangerous. It's a poison, just like a serpent touches milk. How can you hear Vaishnava philosophy from a poisonous lip, a poisonous interpretation? We can get confused. So devotee, a sadhaka, should be very vigilant. In other words, has to have that clarity of mind and philosophical understanding that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling us something here. We have to be very, very cautious. He even advised his followers not to indulge in a study of Mayavada interpretations, because it can affect our devotion. Even in the very high stages of devotion, one can fall down to the material platform of confusion, because this is worse than sensual fall down, because sensual fall down can be a weakness of heart. It can be forgiven. But Mayavada is a dangerous one, because we are offending the personality of Godhead. Mayavada. Disregarding his personal form, that's a great offense. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is warning not only Mukunda Datta, but all the readers and students of Vaishnava Siddhanta. I compiled a couple of notes on this, which I like to the verse mentions that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu blessed Mukunda Datta with punishment. At first, this might seem contradictory, as blessings are usually seen as favorable and punishment as unfavorable. However, in this context, the punishment itself is a form of mercy. The punishment was initially Lord Chaitanya's refusal to allow Mukunda into his presence due to Mukunda's association with the Mayavadi impersonalists, who hold views contrary to the personalist bhakti devotional teachings emphasized by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, the punishment served three main purposes. Number one, which I mentioned already, correction. It was a corrective measure to guide Mukunda Datta back to the path of devotional service, highlighting the dangers of associating with those whose philosophical outlook could undermine the devotion to a personal God. Number two, test of devotion. It is tested Mukunda's resolve and sincerity in his devotional practices. His joyful reaction upon hearing that there would eventually be a chance for redemption shows his deep faith and commitment to Lord Chaitanya. Number three, instruction for others. This incident serves as a teaching tool for other devotees about the significance of keeping the right company. It underscores the idea that spiritual advancement depends significantly on one's associations and that one must choose wisely to foster devotion. And of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, seeing Mukunda Datta's regret and admission for his mistake, hearing from the Mayavadi scholars, he surrendered his heart to Mahaprabhu. And of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, showing the ultimate mercy, he's never rejected him. He just made him feel that association of Mayavadi scholars is not approved by him. He's not endorsing that. We have to be very, very clear about this. Therefore, we have to be very careful to choose our association wisely. And how to do that? We hear from the spiritual master giving us clarity and guidance. We have to carefully safeguard the seed of devotion within our heart. We cannot be complacent. We have to be very careful. We should hear from the authorities. And we have 12 Mahajanas, we all know. Many famous, shastrically famous personalities. Naradaji, Vyasa, even Bhishmadev, great personalities. Hanuman, great personalities. They're giving us, Prahlad, many, many great personalities. They're giving us the fundamental essence of devotional service and make it very clear to us who Krishna is, that he is the ultimate goal, the ultimate object of meditation for all sincere student of Vedanta. The real Vedanta, the conclusion of Vedas, which is really culminates in Srimad Bhagavatam, the very essential teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a gradual, systematic, scientific study about the supremacy of the Supreme Divine, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Parama Ishvaraha, the Supreme Controller, the Supreme Person. this instruction, this simple pastime here, a very, very powerful message to all of us. And we should be introspective. We should analyze these passages here. Why Caitanya Mahaprabhu, seemingly punishing his best friend in that lila, Mukunda Datta, who was such a sweet kirtan leader. He was really loved Mahaprabhu. But just that innocent mistake, visiting the Mayavada scholars, hearing so-called Bhagavad Katha, Ramayana Katha, and filled with Mayavada interpretations. Caitanya Mahaprabhu got very disturbed about this. My dear devotee is getting confused by these interpretations or false siddhantas and not real siddhanta. Real siddhanta leads you to the conclusions of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is taking shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and develop a humble, pure devotional service. And after realizing Mukunda Datta, he realized his mistake. It was a subtle deviation, not purposeful, accidental, because he was very soft-hearted. He was attracted to anywhere, even where just heard the name Krishna once here and there, you were attracted to that. Very pure-hearted. But sadly, Mayavada scholars, they contaminate these beautiful passages. Very dangerous. Because this is just the product of Kali Yuga. Confusion, philosophical misunderstanding, interpretations. Therefore, devotees should not be sentimental. We should be very clear about our Vaishnava philosophy. What is the purpose of life? What to do about it? And who Krishna is. We have to know whom we're going to deal with. If you want to love Krishna, you have to know him. You have to know his pastimes, his form, his names. Krishna has unlimited names. Actually, Krishna himself has, just Krishna himself, the Swayam Bhagavan, has 108 names, various pastimes. And these names given to him according to his lila, his interaction with, sweet interaction with his devotees. Lord Vishnu has 1,000 names, Vishnu Sahasranam. Lord Narasingha also has 1,000 names. He's got 108 important, commonly known names, but also has 1,000. Narasingha, Sahasranam. So Krishna, the Supreme Personality, has unlimited names according to his beautiful pastimes. So we take shelter. And how to take shelter of Krishna? Follow the process given by the Mahajanas. Shelter is not a sentiment. We have to actually follow the guidelines, instructions of the Mahajanas. And how we follow the Mahajanas? We follow the great Mahabhagavatas coming down in our Sri Parampara to the present day. And how we follow and how we conduct devotion service, we have to hear from our spiritual master. We cannot have a concocted idea what is devotion service. Therefore, we have to hear. Very important. As Prahlad Maharaj explained, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, remembering. This first three is so important. These are fundamental. Everything else, Pada Sevanam, Acha Sevanam, all, and ultimately Atmanivedanam, full surrender, comes from this first three. Hearing the glorious position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his pastimes, his name, his form, chanting, kirtana, chanting the holy names. It all goes together. Hearing and chanting and smarana. So when we actually chant the holy name of Krishna, Sudanama, the pure chanting. Hopefully, we get to that point one day. It's up to us individually to make that effort. But it is not just an individual effort. We need to have the right company and guidance. Together we can make it. It's guaranteed. Srila Prabhupada gave us a process, very powerful. And if you see the prayers here, right in the morning program, right to the end, Srila Prabhupada carefully designed it. Every passage, every verse has a powerful meaning and reminder. It depends on depends on attitude, how we want to understand these things, or they just don't even care to understand. Nevertheless, the prayers are so powerful, even if we don't understand the meanings, they're purifying us. Just hearing these beautiful slokas, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, all beautiful passages and verses, reminding us about the glorious transcendental position of the Mahabhagavata, the spiritual master. We even start with that, Samsara Dhavana Naralita. We start with that. First of all, we meditate on these qualities of the spiritual master, who he is. And we take shelter of that person. And shelter means that we take submission and follow the instructions. And that is the protection of Krishna. When we follow the instructions of the spiritual master, that means we are under the protection of Krishna, the supreme protector, the supreme friend. So Krishna is ready to protect us. He's always protecting us, but when we consciously make the effort, then he's definitely responding. Krishna is very responsive to his devotees, to his affectionate devotees. The more affection, more dedication, more selfless service we have, the more he responds to us with realizations, ruchi, taste, inspiration, and determination, which is very important for devotional service. Determination. Then, of course, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu accepted him, because this was just a lesson for the devotees or anyone who's interested in bhakti. We have to carefully study Bhagavad Gita, because the Bhagavad Gita, it definitely clarifies the position of the Supreme Lord, the fundamental position. As you read chapter by chapter, it leads you to the understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we get some understanding our position also, who we are in relation to Him, and what to do about it. That's another thing. And therefore Krishna concludes in the 18th chapter, just surrender unto me. Give up all these adharmas, misconceptions, interpretations, whatever it is, all these illusions. Just surrender unto me, Krishna says. I'll take all sinful reactions. Do not fear. He's assuring us, do not fear. We are fearful because we are attached, we are conditioned souls. But Krishna assures, just surrender to me. I'll give you full protection. Full protection. Krishna is promising. And he promises that to Arjuna and to all of us, that if we surrender to Krishna, then he fully protecting us. He removes all that confusion of the mind at a conditional state or influences. So we have to be very clear about this. We have to have that faith. And that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so pleased with Mukunda Datta, because he knew Mukunda Datta's heart. Because Mukunda Datta was so attached to Mahaprabhu. although Mahaprabhu temporarily rejected him, he knew that Mahaprabhu will accept him eventually. Because Mahaprabhu's love was unlimited and unlimitedly merciful. Therefore, we are very fortunate to have this Krishna consciousness movement established by Srila Prabhupada. We can take shelter under the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. Anyone joins here and be in the Sangha of the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, they are under the shelter of Srila Prabhupada. What a privilege. So we just have to realize that and meditate on this on a daily basis and hang on to the lotus feet of the devotees. And we should take even more humble position. We should be servant of the servant of the servant of the devotees. We should take shelter of the advanced devotees, sincere devotees, and simply serve one another. Because ultimately we are all brothers and sisters in Krishna consciousness, in the service of the spiritual master who is like father and grandfather to all of us. And ultimately the divine couple, beautiful pastimes, this altar, every part of the altar is a meditation for a sincere devotee. What is taking place, the entire Caitanya Charitamrita, the entire Vraja Lila, and the beautiful divine couple, the ultimate platform is manifesting here in front of us. So if you read Caitanya Charitamrita and read the purpose of Srila Prabhupada, we get realizations of Gora Nitai. Then, of course, Srila Prabhupada, as he gradually allowing us, giving us some glimpse of the Vrajabhumi pastimes, the ultimate confidential pastimes of Goloka Vrindavan. Shrimati Radharani and Govardhana Dhari. These pastimes exalted. So exalted that we have to be very careful how we access these pastimes. We have to very carefully hear from the spiritual master. We cannot prematurely enter these divine topics. We have to be ready for it. Our heart should be very pure to even just get into these pastimes. And of course, Krishna and Balaram, Giriraj, Govardhana, the sweetest pastimes. In Garga Samhita, as we know, Garga Muni was the first guru of Lord Krishna. And he compiled a Samhita. And Raghunath Das Goswami often recalled Garga Samhita. And there's a verse in Garga Samhita as a purport that Giriraj Govardhan is like the heart of Krishna, full of love and mercy and sweetness. So this is very, very important for us because Govardhan is so merciful to us, so sweet. And of course you can go even further. Therefore Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj says, out of all the holy places, Vrindavan comes up as one of the highest. And above Vrindavan, Govardhan Hill. And above Govardhan Hill, Srimati Radha Kunda. So this is the ultimate. It's mentioned in the Nectar of Instruction, also Upadeshamrita, Varupa Goswami, that out of all the holy places, Vrindavan, category 1, Govardhan Hill, and Radha Kund, which ultimately embodies the pastimes of Srimati Radharani and Lord Krishna. Very, very exalted places. We have to be very, very respectful with own reverence to approach these places and pray for Srimati Radharani that one day we can have some genuine sentiment and love for the Supreme and the pastimes. And we can have, because Srimati Radharani is the most kind and affectionate form of Krishna, motherly, the nurturing. So we are very prayerful to Srimati Radharani and her representatives, because Srimati Radharani obviously descends here in the form of the spiritual master. The spiritual master represents Shri Nityananda Prabhu and Srimati Radharani also, the most kind forms of Krishna. So if we take shelter, we have great opportunity, great chance to become lovers of Krishna, as Mahaprabhu was very concerned about Mukunda Datta deviating from the proper understanding. On a day-to-day basis, we also have to be careful because we're living in a very mundane society. Our whole educational system, from the top everywhere, even the higher academic levels, contaminated with Mayavada, subtle Mayavada teachings, impersonalist doctrines, influences. So they don't have a clear understanding. They don't have the connection with the parampara, obviously. So it comes to a more academic study, which is not necessarily gives any conclusion. It's more just an objective study of historical events like the Puranas, and they don't have a philosophical understanding. They may interpret it, and this is when the danger comes in. This is when the Mayavada interpretation comes in, that God actually just an impersonal phenomena. We don't have to take responsibility. There's no such a thing as a supreme authority. It's all vague. So this is a very dangerous one. In the Shastras, and this particular purport warning us, be careful. We should be all careful with influences, subtle influences. And how to do that? Keep the association of devotees who fixed, nishta, fixed in devotional service. Then you get strength and clarity. So we have to be very careful. As Srila Prabhupada also says that we have to take the association of pure devotees. All right, the pure devotees are very rare, but they are sincere devotees who take Krishna consciousness to their heart. So their association is very nice. We have to take shelter of those devotees who are sincerely practicing sadhana, chanting the holy names of Krishna, hear and recite the Shastras, hear and associate with devotees, and they engage in serious devotional service. We have to seek the association of devotees who are very serious about chanting the holy names, and serious and sincere about engaging in devotional service. And then we are protected. We have to be with those devotees. And they are. And we are surrounded by very sincere devotees. We may not be perfect, but some sincerity there for sure, because we are here. We would not be here otherwise. So we take shelter of the devotees and share our realizations, encourage one another, and trying to understand the purpose of Srila Prabhupada. This is how we understand Srila Prabhupada's teachings, in the association of devotees. And then it's a very joyful experience. It's full of realizations, full of inspirations. This is when the desire comes, how to serve my spiritual master. How can I do some service to our spiritual master? That's something else. That's even more advanced, obviously. So we should somehow rather contemplate and meditate on this. How can I please my spiritual master? Apart from just the basic rules and regulations, how can I do some service to him? Just like Srila Prabhupada did this extraordinary service to his spiritual master. Srila Bhakti Saranta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada spread Krishna consciousness all around the world. Every town and village. Wow, what a service. I mean, it's beyond our comprehension. Similarly, we have to have some desire to step out of our comfort zone and let me do something for my Guru Maharaj. Let me, part of his project or part of some program that really pleases him. And this is up to the individual devotees to discover and realize. And that way, our minds are naturally controlled. When you surrender to a project or a service to your spiritual master, your mind is naturally controlled and full of inspiration. Others will come forward, help you. And that's what happened. Srila Prabhupada came. Of course, he suffered a lot. But Prabhupada's life is very interesting because he is teaching us at the same time what is to be a pure, true devotee of Krishna. And a real Brahmin, titikshava, tolerance, tolerating all these difficulties in the early days, suffering. Srila Prabhupada suffered gallons of blood to help the world. So now, we should be grateful to have such a teacher, and we should do something for Srila Prabhupada. So this is my realization of this. Is there any question? Comments? Any comments? Yes? Okay. Yeah, very good. In India, it's very clear. Because you see the Apa Sampradaya, they're called Apa Sampradayas. They even advertise themselves such, they even, you can see they dress, and they don't have a sikha, and they speak in a certain way, they openly denying the Supreme. They're very, very equipped with knowledge. That's why it's confusing, especially in India. But in the West, it's more subtle. Like I said earlier, that they don't have a clear understanding of the Siddhanta, or who Krishna is, and they have a more academic study or analysis of the Puranas or Mahabharata, for example, or many of Krishna's. So they look at Krishna and his past as a mythological setting rather than transcendental reality. So people reading these books or teachings or lectures in universities, they get confused because they don't have actually a philosophical conclusion. They don't pointing that there is an answer for all this. They don't actually explain it, that obviously there's no faith or respect. Or they just have an analysis, which is typical for university. They give you data and it's analyzed, and not much of a conclusion. And if there's any conclusion, it's based on interpretation, which is usually impersonalist. Because it's not the interest of the modern civilization to promote and advocate spiritual knowledge, really, transcendental knowledge, because it goes against the agenda of sense gratification and exploitation or whatever. Because when you explain that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, naturally there will be a sense of responsibility or attention to the details, who Krishna is and why we have to respect the laws of nature. And of course, the demons, asuras, they don't like that. They don't like the authority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead because it threatens their position. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada was warning about the scientists, because the scientists are corrupt. Not all, of course. I'm just saying, generally, a scientist can be swayed, corrupted. And because the whole idea is to promote an atheistic, godless civilization, which is completely denying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and promotes the idea of sense gratification, individually, collectively, and not taking any responsibility. And you can see the result. You can judge by the result. You can judge by the symptoms of this global village. You can see that there's so much problem. And wherever we look, crisis. economical crisis, environmental crisis, financial crisis, health crisis, this crisis, that crisis. Why? Because it's all godless, denying the supreme position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They don't want to accept authority. So they acting, the leaders of the world, they focus on exploitation and greed. Kali Yuga. And that's what they teach. That's what they promote and project in the educational system. And if you read, especially when we had Narasimha's pastimes, when Sri Prahlad went to the school, and Hiranyakashipu had 2 teachers there. And obviously they weren't favorable a God-conscious Siddhanta. They were chastising Prahlad. No, this is not what we're teaching here. And they even complained to Hiranyakashipu, oh, this boy is not accepting our doctrines or interpretations. And Hiranyakashipu, of course, responding. No, it contradicts their agenda. They don't like, they reject, deny. They're in denial of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why they are dangerous. Because, no matter what studies they have, PhD or professing some knowledge or faculty, they don't have the right understanding because they don't have an access to the true Divya Jnana, which only comes through a bona fide spiritual master, who's actually representing Krishna properly. So we cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead through academic study. That's why the universities, Prabhupada says, are the slaughterhouses of knowledge. They're not giving you real knowledge, rather they confuse you. University is good for acquiring skills and craft, art, but real knowledge comes from Sri Parampara. So we have to be very clear about this. We should not be afraid to defend the Vaishnava philosophy. And that's what Mahaprabhu did. In this chapter, meeting all the Pandits and defeating them with clear, logical, Shastric references also. So, that's it. Krishna, we stay with Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Shri Caitanya Charitamrita. Hare Krishna.